it's been, how long it's been. If you just clicked on this and that burst your eardrum, I'm sorry. I'm sure it didn't. I would hope it wouldn't. But if it did, I apologize. So, what is life? Hello. It's been a minute. I was gonna come. So, there's this whole thing where, remember that one time I went live and it was the BYOD, right? And it was the illuminator spread. And the sun was in the place of the light. And I was like, first I was like, I love this. But then I was like, hold up, wait. So it was really cold, last week? And actually, well, yeah, it was really cold last week. And my grandma, a few days, because she took me to work in the morning, um, she was like, the sun is so bright, but there's no heat. Like, I can't feel the heat. It's bright, but I can't feel the heat. And then I was like, oh, because there was the quote that comes up every now and then. Fire without light is like zeal without knowledge. But what is like fire without warmth or a light without warmth? You know what I mean? So I was going to do a whole spread and, to clarify that or to see if that was even the case. But that did not happen. Hey, Eve. Hi, Holly. How y'all doing tonight? Also, I'm using a pink light. You can't really tell. It doesn't even look pink in my glasses. But my glasses are kind of filthy. Can you see the pinkness? Oh, there it is. You can see it's kind of pink. Yeah, I was going to do that. And then when I was doing that, or at work, Queen Mab popped into my mind. And so I didn't know if I was going to incorporate her or not. But long story short, that didn't happen. And it's not happening today. So why am I telling you this? I don't know. Because I might do it soon. Or it might not happen. Who knows? Who knows? But today I was at work. And I saw, in a way, I didn't really, an image was built in my mind's eye. And then I was like, oh, that's the Fool from a deck that I don't use too often that intimidates me a lot. It's not the most intimidating deck that I feel I own. It's not the deck that I'm personally the most intimidated by, which is the Dolly Tarot, because I'm like, what is this? Am I going off of like card meanings because these images are a lot? It's my second most intimidating deck, which is the Starman Tarot. So, well, I guess it's interesting that it's the Starman Tarot because of the image and because of the question. So I was just going to shuffle first and then go to the Fool, or I was going to see what the vibe is. But some cards fell out when I was like pre-shuffling, and I'm looking at these cards and I'm like, oof, it's a lot. It was the Princess of Wands, the Princess of Cups, and the Eight of Pentacles. I was like, oh, like the princesses are working together on something or whatever. But looking at the images, I'm like, that's a lot. So I do have the book. Oh, I opened up to the Princess of Pentacles. What's up with the princesses? Also, lately, I've been seeing a lot of SKT is the intimidating deck that I have that you should. Yeah, like SKT is intimidating, but it's intimidating in a different way. You know what I mean? Starman is abrasive. Everything. If it there, yeah, I agree. Because I'm like, what is this? Uh, but yeah, I think the SKT is. I also like used it a lot. So like when I first got it, it was a lot more intimidating, but then I needed to be intimidated, and I mean, it still intimidates me sometimes. I don't know if intimidate is the word. I feel like that is a deck that like really pushes me like intuitively and in other ways. I mean, I could literally say the same for the Dolly Tarot because what else do I have to go off of besides intuition? You know what I mean? But anyway, the full moon was in Gemini yesterday. Sagittarius's energy has been interesting. Um, Maybe soon-ish you'll get to see why it's even more interesting or why it feels a little bit more interesting. But it wasn't until the day before yesterday when I was like, oh, like it's going to be a full moon in Gemini. The galactic center is in Sagittarius. I think it's like between 15 and 18 degrees. Galactic center. Just not, I'm misspelling everything. In astrology, that was it. That's what I wanted. Just tell me where it is. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's 26 to 27 degrees of Sagittarius. Oh, she's late. She's late Sagittarius. Late Sagittarius. Okay, so we already had the new moon in Sagittarius, right? We had to, because in 2 weeks it's going to be Capricorn season. So I was like, oh, maybe it's because it's happening in Sagittarius. And, um, you know, I don't know. The full moon did happen on my node, so it's like a degree. It was a degree and a half away from my nodes. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, mystical shaman for sure. And the dreams of Gaia. I'm still. I feel like the mystical shaman is like it's less intimidating to me now, but it's still like challenging sometimes. I'm not intimidated by it, but it's still challenging for me. Sometimes, if I get easy cards, then it's not. When they start giving me corn and stuff like that, I'm like, okay. So y'all want me to read the book or you have a brand new Hieronymus Bosch deck? Oh, snap. I have no clue who Hieronymus Bosch is, but we'll just get one card. Let's just break me in easy. Also, fun fact. So, in my own personal life, like I said, that full moon was on my nodes. Um, I feel like it's almost like there's been this mega cycle this year that has been completing. It's, I can say like there's been this mega cycle that's been about completing a lot of other smaller, like really big, but still smaller cycles. But like, what does it mean to complete a cycle? Because then you just start all over, right? If it's a cycle. So it feels more like it's been a year of bringing a lot of things to resolution. Um, and the past few days haven't been much different. Well, maybe it's been more about like putting that resolution into practice. And then today I was like, oh, snap, because I'm coming up, I'm like less than a month from my third and final direct Saturn conjunction. Like my Saturn return is almost over and it's later Aquarius. It's not like super late Aquarius, but it's later Aquarius. So it's not like Saturn's going to be in Aquarius for a whole nother year and a half. So even though your return is over, Saturn's still in the energy. You know, Saturn's going to go into Pisces. Um, but anyway, I guess thought of that today. So, which is cool because, you know, I want Saturn to bless me with some goodies on its way out. And with the way that everything is going, it definitely is in a space too. So, excuse me. So the Four of Wands and the Wheel come out. I love all of these like pinks in the wheel because again, I was looking for like I pulled up pure white screen, but then I was like, oh, I'll just use a little ring light that's attached to this little contraption that I got from my mother years ago at this point, which is crazy. But anyway, I was like, oh, I'll just use the little ring light, so like we're not gonna do white screen. And then I was flipping through the thing just to see if it would pop up, and I got pink screen. I was like, okay, I'll use pink screen today because why not? Why not get a little crazy? It's 10 hours, a pink screen for 10 hours in HD. And then we get all of this pinks and oranges with a touch of teal. Oh, snap. Neptune's getting rings now. Am I going to have to, like, am I going to have to be afraid of Neptune now? I'm already like, I feel like I love Neptune because a lot of people, it seems like whenever Neptune comes up in conversation, there's not a lot of positive things to say about Neptune, just like Saturn. Um, Honestly, it's almost like any planet that isn't Venus or Jupiter. Mars gets it, Saturn gets it, Neptune gets it. Uranus feels like it does and it doesn't. Uranus feels like it gets a balanced mix. Um, anyway, this isn't about all that. But yeah, I'm like, oof. So Neptune is one of the ones that I try to like. And then I start having dreams and I'm like, okay, Neptune, that's enough. You can stop now. The Four of Wands and the Wheel. It's interesting. So we have this flower of life. So there's a flower of life, right? We have our couple here, but we have them that there's this mysterious being of light that together, I don't know if it's coming to meet them or if, like, I don't know where they meet, I guess I should say. Like, I don't know if they meet halfway or if they meet on this side or if they meet on this side. And then we have the wheel. The wheel beyond the wheel, beyond the wheel, beyond the wheel, beyond the wheel. If the face is the wheel. And it keeps going and going and going, right? Will you focus? No. Bottom of the deck is the title card, which is why I was like, okay. It's one of the title cards. It's the proper title card, but it's the black featuring gold side of the title card and not the gold featuring black side. It's this side of the title card. It's interesting that this figure is here because it makes me think of that. It makes me think of the Fool. Am I keeping this? I don't know. We'll see. It was in the 80s. Oh my gosh. It was like 50 something here. Also, I haven't mentioned it yet, but if you follow Rustling Around, then you know that he's talked about a certain thing that will be happening in the not too distant, but still not today future. Um, Also, if you were here for the one time I tried out the Go Live with Me feature, And Kathy was here, Twittyversing was here. You know, the thing that she talked about, well, it's happening. It's in the works. I'm doing my best to be on my everlong mystic behavior. I'm doing my best to be on my everlong mystic behavior. I know I did. Hold up, wait. I want to say yes. But I also started watching a different pick a card today. I didn't finish it. But now I can't recall Matthews. No. That's Matt. It's him. It's him. I went to one of the videos and Russ commented on it, and then he commented back. He was like, I want to see proof. The difference in meaning. I don't know. Well, this one, it's darker. Right? So because these figures are here, it feels like it's like their perspective. If it came out on this side, I would be more inclined to say it's whatever that it's the focus, I guess. I didn't even know it was like double-sided until I flipped it over. I barely have brain, Eve. That is a question for another day. Why did I point it out? If you're asking why I pointed it out, I don't know. Honestly, I'm like, should I even be live right now? Yes. I just gotta reach. It's like I don't feel like reaching. I should have picked a different deck, but I saw that card in my mind's eye. I didn't again like the image built in my mind. It was like one thing and then another thing, and then I was like, oh, like that's the Fool card in the Starman Tarot. I'm just gonna go for it. Let's see. Well, I can't. I can use the deck. I just can't show the deck, and you don't even know what deck I'm talking about. General, you doesn't, because at least one of you does. At least probably two of you do, if not more. What? What's all the exclamation marks for? What's happening? My headache. Oh, that's what it was for? Like when I said I can use it, I just can't show it? I need a not. What's a deck that I understand? I could go for the Legends Tarot because the pips are super pippy, meaning that they don't have like images besides like three pentacles on the Three of Pentacles, five pentacles on the Five of Pentacles, seven cups on the Seven of Cups. There's no like. Yeah. I'm like, what am I doing? Okay, it's been like several minutes. Let me try to focus. I say as my phone makes noises. Let me see what these noises are about. Well, what was I talking about? Because these came out as I was talking about something, right? I was talking about how this year's been a year of like resolving cycles and how I feel like if I talk about it, I'll get emotional, which is fine. But also at the same time, it's not. It is. Um, yeah, it's been a. This year's been a year. Um, and it's wrapping up in a way that is giving me the opportunity to do a lot of things differently. And I was talking to my journey buddy last weekend. I think it was last Sunday. So a few days ago. And I guess I've reached this realization. It's and honest if I'm being completely honest, it's one that I've been kind of sort of fighting a little bit. When the card says willful resistance, the resistance is most definitely willful. But if you've watched me before, like you wouldn't be surprised. I'm a Taurus, moon and rising, and I will be gosh darned if I don't use every single placement in my chart. So it's been something that I've kind of been like, sort of like teeter tottering about a little bit. A little bit. Kind of sort of for the question of like, well, what does this mean? And also it's like I have been kind of sort of a little indecisive and a little back and forth, but also I haven't been. I've just been so tired because now that work has like slowed down so drastically, my body is just like trying to catch up on all the rest that I was not getting. Feels like almost all year. Um, and also it's like it's resting for the end of one, but it's preparing for the beginning of another. Um, but I was kind of getting it within this past, so like a week ago, yes, like 2 weeks ago, I guess at this point, because we're at the end of the week, almost 2 weeks ago. Um, the fox, the unicorn, and the golden egg. Oh, snap. There's your Bjorn the unicorn. Um, you called in today and took a 3 hour nap. Oh my gosh. I want to do like a half day tomorrow and take Monday off. Because it was like, was it yesterday? It was either yesterday or the day before. I was just randomly like, I want to do something this weekend. Like, I want to do a weekend trip. And I have a day and a half of PTO left. My last day is next Friday. Um, if I don't use the time, I'll be compensated for it, but I could also use the time. And so today I'm really like, I want to take a half day Friday and take Monday off. But then I'm like, well, I didn't plan anything. So I'm going to reach out to one of my friends and we'll see what he's up to this weekend. I might go and visit him. Um, I kind of loved like when I went to Chicago and I just booked the hotel. I mean, I went for the wedding, but then I stayed an extra night. I kind of really loved that. So I kind of want to do that again. But then it's like while I personally wouldn't mind going somewhere, booking a hotel, and just like staying in a hotel for the weekend, I'm also at the same time like, well, like I wouldn't want to go somewhere and not do anything. So we'll play it by ear. Anyway, I forgot where I was. Oh, because you said you called in today. Excuse me. I'm glad you got that rest. You'll need it. Jupiter has its own challenges. Now that I'm done with Saturn, I get to face Jupiter. And for me, because of my life experiences and my traumas, I guess we'll say, Jupiter is actually a lot more challenging for me than Saturn. Um, so a lot of what Saturn has done is basically prepare me for that Jupiterian expansion because Jupiterian expansion is a challenge for me. Um, so, you know, and that's where we end this year. We're ending the year there, and I'm like, oh, goody. Don't get me wrong. I am excited. I'm very excited for what's to come, whatever life may bring. Um, but yeah, Jupiter is going to be the real challenge. But it's not a challenge that I'm not looking forward to either, because you know, who knows? So yeah, the thing that like in the past 2 weeks, and then I told my Journey Buddy Sunday, it's like, and I mentioned it here too, like a lot of ways, a lot of like behaviors that I've adopted aren't fully mine. Like I've been the person who fear has made me. And because of all of the opportunity that arose this year, fear doesn't have the same hold on me as it used to. I've had opportunities to make choices and decisions and to prove to myself that fear doesn't make those decisions anymore. So then it's like, well, when fear isn't making those decisions, then I really get to live life. And I think that's why this, and like, there's already like these lights and these colors and everything growing in the shadows of these people as they welcome the light. So that's the direction that life is going to be turning in, I guess. It's like you've already done all that like dark shadow fear, whatever limiting belief stuff. That was the card. That was the card. Where did you go? I saw it. I saw the card. I just like shuffled the deck and it was in the first one. It's fine. Um, so yeah, I'm excited, but that also means that I get to challenge myself. But I don't know. Like I said, I've had a whole year to learn. It's been like I feel like this year has been very like internshipy energy. Like I've learned things that I've had to use. And I guess like that's how life sort of always is, or that's how the journeys can be. Kirsty, what up? How are you doing, Kirsty? Like life is like that more often, I guess, than not. But it's just the choices and decisions part, or it's like not procrastinating. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Speaking of, it's okay. Oh, ooh, 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 ooh. So we get two more cards. Justice came out first, followed by the Ten of Pentacles. And I'm like, okay. I mean, gorgeous. Bottom of the deck is the Five of Pentacles. In the Five of Pentacles, we see the flower of life thing from the Four of Wands. So it's almost like there's no going back. Like once you step through, it's like once you step through the door, the gate like lowers. There's no going back. Seven of Swords is revealed under the Prince of Pentacles. At the top of the deck. Excuse me. Oh, well, here you go. Honestly, I was going to go live yesterday to do that sun spread thing. Yesterday is just like, it's a lot of stuff to like process. I mean, I've talked to a few people about it, but I feel like I haven't like fully processed it. But also at the same time, I realize and recognize that it's something that I'm going to have to like, it's not necessarily something to all be processed in one day and then it's like over. You know what I mean? And I also, we're returning to form. And again, it's no longer being the person that fear made me, which is I am my mother's child. Justice and the Ten of Pentacles, though, the thing that I like about Justice, the thing that I like about Major Arcana Justice, it's that sometimes it's almost like the Wheel of Fortune, kind of sort of in the realm of the High Priestess. Sometimes justice is just like, sometimes justice for me reads as cause and effect. Like if you do this, this will be the consequence, that will be the repercussion, this will be the response. Because you did that. There's no sentient, or it's almost like there's no like divine, or there's no like divine intervention or like devil energy coming in to like screw something up. It's just like boom, boom. You do this, that happens. And so it's like, it's because of everything that's happened that this Ten of Pentacles energy follows. Because of the whole, like not only being led to the door and the Four of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune, but walking through it. Are those the same folks? Well, we can see one of them. She's in like full color. Oh, they're both in full color. A lot more color than there was before. And it's like, and the door sinks. It's like, because you walk through, like, this is the energy that follows. You know what I mean? So that's gorgeous. Excuse me. It's just like, let's see, it's hard to believe that this year is coming to a close. Like, October seemed so far away when we first got that announcement, and then it got pushed back to December, but December's already here. Like, next Friday is my last date. This like oops, oh darn it, I pulled the cloth down and the cards went on the floor. Oh, I pulled them on the floor. Two more cards came out. What's up with pairs? The Three of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands. Love that energy. Um, and look how sunny the Three of Pentacles is too. Love, love, love this energy. What was I talking about? I don't remember. Oh, this year. It's been like it's again like it for me, and again, I'm in my Saturn return. So for me, like that's how it's like I can correlate a lot of things that I've experienced this year to my Saturn return. How much of that is collective? Like I've been saying since Saturn got closer and closer and closer to its exact conjunction, I don't know what is Patrick in his Saturn return and what is collective energy. It also, in a almost weird way, I don't know if it's like fully like Saturn return or if it's just how I've been navigating life. Because again, with justice energy, it's like there are effects for every cause. There are repercussions and consequences to every choice and decision. And repercussion and consequence isn't negative. It doesn't have to be negative. It's again, it's just like if you do that, if you do this, that happens. That could be amazing. If you plant a seed and tend to it and you'll get a harvest. That's the consequence of working hard. You get paid. Seven of Pentacles. Yo, wow! Why are you trying to speed through Capricorn season? But this year has been so like, it feels like this year has just been like an in between year. You know what I mean? Like I was looking at leap days earlier. Me neither, Kirsty. I'm just here. I'm just here today. Um, Steph. Excuse me. Hey, Steph. How you doing? How's Oklahoma? Um, but yeah, this year it's just felt like such a huge like in between year, and like not only am I having a Saturn return, but Uranus in Taurus is conjuncting. It's like it's transiting right now between my rising and my moon in my first house of self. Uranus is there, and it's like, so how much is Uranus hitting my moon and my rising? How much is Saturn conjuncting my Saturn? I don't know. But I was gonna say it's almost like I don't know if it's just this energy or I don't know if it's like because of my Saturn return, there's almost like a bubble, it's almost like a little karmic bubble in my life that like it seems like certain collective energies. Not that I experience every single collective energy, but it seems like certain collective energies like I didn't like everybody else was feeling a certain type of way and I wasn't feeling that way. But Saturn had other plans for me. So Saturn's like, oh no, you're following this curriculum. That one's for people who aren't in their Saturn return. And best believe if they haven't had one, they will. And if they did have one, they had theirs already. So, oh no. You want the year? We only have 20 something days left. I'm sorry to hear that, Steph. Are you feeling better? Because I know you were sick for a while. Yeah, and then like I have a little bit of a break right now because I'm an early Taurus rising and a very late Taurus moon. So there's this like sweet spot where those conjunctions are super like not exact, but my Uranus and Neptune are in Capricorn. So I have this Uranus trine that's happening, and my Neptune is there too. So it's like it's fine. Uranus, have your way with me. I'll be better in the end for it. So I won't fight it. Doesn't mean I won't be stubborn, but you know what? Things can always get worse. No, I mean honestly, kind of same though. Because the beginning of this year was me freaking out about like having to do all the extra work that I was gonna do. And they were like, oh, like she's only gonna be on maternity leave for a few weeks. When she comes back, everything is gonna be fine. So you know what? I was like, I still don't like this. I still disagree with this very strongly. And you're still gonna hear about it when I need to speak up. But if it's only for a few weeks, I can do it. Then we get the announcement that the plant is closing. She comes back for 2, 3 weeks, maybe. I think it was like 2.5 weeks because she was like, "Yeah, I already started applying for other jobs when that announcement came." And I was like, "So am I going to have to do this now?" So then that became my job. And then not only did that become my job, I was the only person there. So everything was my job. And I'm like, how did this happen? But at the same time, like I said, it was. I also became the type of person where it's like, I believe that some things happen for a reason, and I can use my Taurian stubbornness to make other things happen for a reason. And then the rest is just me, Pisces, going with the flow, clueless, but knowing that something will happen at some point and sometime. I don't know. But the thing that really helped me too was that like there were times where like I wanted to quit, or there were times where I was frustrated, but it never felt like it was what I was supposed to do. It never felt like I was supposed to leave. And depending on how the wheel continues to turn, um, there may have been a very, very, very good reason for that. I mean, there's already been a very, very, very good reason for that, if I'm being completely honest. But the very, very good reason could become an even better reason. So I'm just like, okay, whatever. But that's my Taurian. I've learned to use my Taurus stubbornness as a superpower. My superpower is my kryptonite. But it's only my kryptonite when I let it be. You think it was the variant, but you're better. Yeah. I ended up getting COVID when I got sick. I was like, I made it almost 3 years. Almost 3 years. And what's super wild is that like I went out, I went with my I did a like a I mean she called it self-care Sunday, but I did a weekend like a day trip, I guess, with my mom. And then like 3 days later I get sick. No, God of War Ragnarok also came out. I just coincidentally, I promise it was 100% coincidence. I coincidentally got sick the night that God of War Ragnarok released. And then I called in and I got a negative test. And then, like 20 some, almost 30 hours later, I took another test and it came back positive. And I was like, oof. And all that time I had off, I didn't even play God of War. Not really. You never got COVID? Oh, snap. Oh, well, I misunderstood anyway. I was like, what? But for me, it was like super mild. So I basically like slept and took it easy. And now I think, like, now I don't know if I'm like tired because I'm fatigued or if I'm tired because like I've been working all year and my body needs the break. And like, My body is, it's almost like the 10 of wands, when you gotta keep going, you can keep going, but as soon as that burden lightens up, it's a crash, and I'm like, okay, I'm out. Now I'm getting sick, now I'm sleepy, now I'm doing all this stuff that I wasn't doing when I had to be at work. So, but yeah, for me it was like super mild, so I'm at least grateful for that. Definitely struggle with incompatibility at work this year. Yeah. Holly's got it. So the ten of, oh no, the three of pentacles and the queen of wands. I feel like we keep inching closer and closer and closer to that energy. Yeah, and that's what my journey buddy said too. Well, she was like, "Have you considered that you're feeling like this because of everything that you've been doing?" I'm like, "Yes," because that's the type. Like my body will do that. It's like I'll go when I need to, but as soon as I can rest, my body is like, "Okay, now you're gonna rest." Also, my body has been throwing tantrums because my body's like, "You're eating like crap." No, no, we're not putting up with this anymore. And I'm like, "Body, what do you mean?" But the Taco Bell is so good. And then it's like, okay, it's not good, it's just convenient. But still, my body is not letting me have any fun right now. But it's fine because it's a cleansing process, cleansing and resting for what is to come. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I was thinking like, should I do a detox? I didn't. I haven't gotten that far. I think I was gonna message Reem. I was gonna be like, "Hey Reem, I'm trying to do like a light detox, not trying to go like full whatever, but like what's something that I can do or incorporate to like get some of that done." But anyway, I think we're getting closer to the energy. And the thing is, I love the three. So the three of pentacles and the queen of wands, especially like if I'm going to continue on with the narrative that I've been, which is basically talking about this year, I guess. And like me, and maybe it's for you too, but I only know my experience. And it's like, it is like Spotify season. It's Spotify wrapped season. I feel like my 2022 is being like, honestly, it is like a 2022 wrapped, but like I said, it feels like this year has been like a mega cycle that's been composed of a lot of big cycles that have gone on. Some of them, like literally, basically my whole life. And it's about like resolving those, bringing them to a close. And so it's like instead of like a Queen of Wands in reverse, upright, it's like it's us, me, us in our light, in our, I want to say like better aspects. And better doesn't necessarily always mean just like happier. You know what I mean? Because life is a whole spectrum. There's a gamut that experience runs. But it's almost like who we show up as or how we interact with life or how we're affected and then how we respond. It's like that. Because we don't necessarily always control the situation. We don't necessarily always control our response either. But we can work to the point where we can, it's almost like when something happens, our field of vision narrows. It's like whenever your body is in fight or flight, like your field of vision narrows, and like, because it's about assessing the threat, maintaining a certain focus on that threat, but also like, am I fighting or am I like fleeing from that threat? Everything outside of it sort of like fades away. So it's about like when those things happen, it's like, yes, we can acknowledge what we need to acknowledge, but we don't lose other facilities. You know what I mean? Or like mental faculties or whatever. Like our field of vision doesn't go like pin prick narrow. We can still show up. And that's what like energy, the universe, that's where we're collaborating from. That's the space that we're collaborating from here. And again, like we're getting closer and closer and closer to the energy. It'll be easier to do on the other side of that flower of life gate than on this side. Oh, look, the Four of Wands is at the bottom of the deck again. Yeah. And maybe that's why the light dude is coming to meet us. You didn't drink one pop yesterday. Oh, snap. I caught I think it was about half of the reading that you did. I think it was more than half. I'm trying to remember it now. My brain, my brain don't work. My memory is like, but after tomorrow, I think like most of the physically demanding stuff I have to do is pretty much done too. So I wanted to finish that up today so that if I do want to take a half day tomorrow, I wanted to finish it up today so I can coast through the rest of the 5 working days I have and not have that hanging over my head. Also, it makes other people happy too because now that stuff can go to its new home. As my soon to be old home is looking bare bones empty. Who is this? Somebody done slid about the deck. Are you 2 cards again? 3 cards this time. I was shuffling the cards, however you shuffle cards, and like a card like came out the front and then 2 cards followed it. So we're gonna see who they are. Bottom of the deck is the Empress. Remember how I was talking about that Queen of Wands and how that's the space that she's attracting and collaborating from? Now the whole gosh darned Empress is at the bottom of the deck. And it's interesting that we take a Queen of Wands path to the Empress rather than the more traditionally available Queen of Pentacles path. But the 3 of Pentacles was there. So not completely outside of the energy. Oh. So yeah. Oh wait, these are 4 cards. I got 4 cards. Call me Everlong Mystic. Darn it. The first card is the blockage. The second card is oh, Eve, what's the bits of you spread? Quick, I'm just playing. I am gonna grab another deck though. I'm using the I do have the restraint to not show the cards. Call this further experimentation. Because I'm like, with this deck in particular, this is one of the decks, like I said, it puts me way outside my usual. That's another thing that I've learned this year, though. And it's such a like a no duh realization. But did you hear a zipper? I don't know. If you I believe that if you believe you heard a zipper, then you 100% you heard the zipper. But if you didn't hear a zipper, don't rewind. Don't rewind to go back to see if you can hear the zipper. I'm not gonna gaslight you. Yeah, you heard a zipper. Um, and also, yes, I am still wearing pants. But yeah, one of the things that I learned this year, I feel like I got to mention it. I don't know if y'all know how stubborn I like. I used to be a lot worse. I used to be a lot worse. Life has actually softened me a lot. And I never necessarily thought I would be more flexible in certain ways. Like I'm also like super flexible, but on the things that I'm like stubborn about, I'm stubborn. Um, why did I bring that up, girl? I don't even know. I don't remember. I was going somewhere with that. I already forgot. It came up upright, and I thought I was in reverse. Oh, glad to hear it, Steph. Oof, 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 oof. Give me a second. Uno momento, por favor. Uno momento, por favor. Look who's at the no! Are you haunting me now? Oh my gosh, these cards literally came out together. What? Wild. Imagine that. And you don't necessarily know what I'm talking about, but it's fine. But it's fine. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, those were right next to each other. And there you go. Wait, were you talking about the flu, Steph? Question mark. My brain is also on delay. Like it took me a whole hour to process a text message that somebody like. I was like, here like, we were talking about food, and I was like, "There's no food here. I'm glad you're where you are." And then the person was like, "Yeah, like they serve this kind of food here," and I was like, "What?" Because when he said here, I thought he meant the here that I said. Like when I said here, I meant here. And when he said here, I thought he also meant here. But when he said here, he meant there from my perspective. But it took my brain an hour to like piece that together. And I was like, oh, that's not what you were saying. Has it really been an hour? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. I didn't even know that the flu was going around as bad as it was until somebody said something. I was like, oh my gosh. So we have night. We start with night and we end with fire, ether, life. Which is interesting because these are the same rune. If you like hit it with one of these, and then you like, okay, you can make adjustments to this in different sizes to like, instead of it being across, you like move this like up or whatever. This is basically the cards that this is everything that I've been sort of like talking about. Because with that Four of Wands, they started in the dark, but because of what they were doing in the dark, they were approached by the light. And that's when it was like, I don't know if like they're meeting in the light, if they're meeting between light and dark, or if they're meeting in the dark. Like I don't know where that the intersection of those paths is. But as we kept going, the flower of life gate dropped. So it was on the light side, right? And the light side, there was that justice and Ten of Pentacles energy. And then after that, that's when the Queen of Wands came out with the Three of Pentacles. And it's like collaborating, manifesting, attracting from that Queen of Wands already luminous space. And so again, it's like it's basically here from night to fire, ether, life. I got 4 cards, right? So I also have the poems in front of me, so I can read you the poems. I mean, I'm probably not going to read the whole poems. We'll see how it goes anyway. Yeah, when you talked about the fear flakes, that makes me think of packing up for your winter move. I hope you are moving somewhere great and you love it. Ali. Um, it makes me think of the video you did, Eve, where it was like, because you were doing it was the video that you did about like a self read, like whenever I read for myself, and then like it starts as like super whatever, but then like the other voice comes in, and I'm like, oh snap! Like, I bet you would like another slice of pizza, wouldn't you? I enjoyed that video. It was a controversial video on the Everlong channel. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so we're starting in the night. The card that comes out for night is the Two of Pentacles. You thought about that read the other day, did you? I feel like every now and then it might pop into my head. What's interesting about this Two of Pentacles coming out with the Rune of Night, but like I feel like again, like this is the whole thing. Like, what is this? 45 degrees maybe out of the 360 is night. Like the rest of this card is all daytime. This is the only night piece, but again, like that was the thing, right? It's like whenever we encounter certain situations or whenever we have a response, our bodies, our minds, it starts to hone in on the thing. And there's so much that we don't see. But with the Two of Pentacles, it's almost like there is or was no space for anything but darkness. I mean, it makes sense if we're talking about dark nights of the soul, right? And especially how the dark nights used to be. I don't know if they're changing, But it's like there wasn't space for anything but darkness in the dark night. Like there was no space for light. And it's like, well, yeah, duh, that's why it's called a dark night. But this one hand is like it's shifting a little bit. Like if both of the pinnacles were here, because it's almost like the space in between the pinnacles is like, because the two of pentacles can be a card of like juggling things. It's about balance. It's about decision making. Kind of sort of like the two of swords, but they're pinnacles. They're not swords. Even though like air and earth are pretty like they have a lot of overlap between them. This hand is moving out to be able to like incorporate a little bit more light when that happens. It's a broadening of that field of vision. The next card is the original birthright, Ethel or Aethel. And that's coming out with the Five of Cups. Well, what's interesting is the colors on this Five of Cups. They match the colors on Aethel, but so yeah, we definitely this is the Dark Knight. This is being consumed by this because again, it feels like the hand has shifted now, so we can get a little bit of this light in here. But when it was here, it was, I mean, even with that, like, that's not a lot of grace. Not grace. That's not a lot of wiggle room, I guess. So we fall into the Five of Cups. And the thing with the Five of Cups in almost every card, it's the person focusing on the three cups that have spilled rather than the two cups that are still upright, still full, perfectly good, ready to go. The next card is Word, which is the All rune. Or the next rune is the All rune, accompanied by Temperance. Now, in the same space of darkness, the Temperance Angel comes in and it introduces an element of light. Well, it introduces elements of light, but like this light is kind of purple. This light is more like sun, orangey, white. The beautiful stuff, like the Queen of Wands. Her color, like the dress on this Empress. It's more like golden. Oh, look. Oh, well, speak of the sun, and it shall appear. The sun is behind the Empress. I love that the sun is so the Queen of Wands has become the Empress. The sunflower that was above her has become the sun. Love that. Um, but there's also like this too. Oh, okay. Well, you told me that part. I didn't know if like you had decided or flowed to where you're going to be going. Hope it's somewhere around it reads almost as very like you can't know. It's almost what is it? It's like you can't know light without knowing darkness or something like that. Um, it's that like if you only ever experienced good things, you wouldn't have an appreciation for the good things. So you have to experience bad things in order to appreciate the good things. You have to experience darkness in order to appreciate the light. I'm on the fence when it comes to stuff like that. Maybe at first, yeah, sure, but can I reach the point? This has also been Patrick's challenge to Patrick because Patrick is tired of Dark Knights. You know what I mean? So it's like, is it possible for me to go just like brighter and brighter, or more and more this way? Because if I continue to expand in that direction, I can appreciate the better because I had the good, and there's always something better. So hopefully, I ain't got to go worse. I'm trying to stay on the good side of things and to learn and appreciate and do all that stuff. The last card is the Fire Ether Life. It is a light that's born in the darkness, I guess. Who are you coming out with? The Nine of Pentacles. It's in the darkness that we find our light, or it's in the darkness that we find light. That's how we end up with Fire Ether Life. And it's like, now she's a painted person. Look at those oranges and yellows and reds and deep pinks on her torso. And again, the bottom of the deck is the Empress. The Nine of Pentacles is minor Empress energy. The Empress is Empress energy. The Queen of Pentacles is like pre Empress energy. So, like, there's the minor and then the pre and then the major. Or the pre and then the minor and then the major. I don't know. Yeah, and it's like it makes sense. I'm just like, well, blah, 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 blah. Blah. Oh, snap stuff. That's so sweet. So now with all of this here, I'm gonna go looking for the card. I don't know if I mentioned what the card is yet, but we're gonna flip through the deck and find that card. We're gonna flip through the deck and find that card so I can end this and go to bed. Where are you? I saw a flash of the card when I was shuffling. It was like after the first shuffle, it like showed itself immediately. I was like, whoa. And then I couldn't find it because I kept shuffling. Like, oh, so you're just going to tease me then? Here you are. I'm like, oh my goodness, where is this card? These are all the cards from the bottom that I went through. Oh, look, we have Justice again. There's the Justice outside the window, right? Yep. We have the Six of Pentacles. I used to see this card all the time. Look at all the light. See, but there's both here. And then we have the card, and then we have the Three of Cups. Outside the window is the King of Wands. There you go. So Justice and the King of Wands. I love the King of Wands because again, like it was the Queen of Wands and then the Empress. Justice is it's coming in as like cosmic order. It's cause and effect. One thing leads to another. The Queen of Wands, of course, would, you know, naturally pair with the King of Wands. Six of Pentacles, the Fool, and the Three of Cups. This is why I was like, oh, we're building up to that energy. Because the Fool is standing in front of the sun. And then there's like this light behind him. That was when we reached like the Queen of, with the sunflower up above and the Queen sort of standing below the Queen of Wands. And then the sun was behind the Empress. And I was like, okay. Oh, the bottom of the deck is this card, by the way. It's Helve Now. I learned to know. Um, this is my solar eclipse rune. That happened last season. A card for this, please. Work. It's one of my favorites. I love this. So I'll have to find the card that came out for you. I gotta find the raw rune correspondence for you. Give me one moment and I'll be right with you. It's one of my favorite runes, if that tells you anything. Also, I feel like a lot of my favorite cards come with a little bit of controversy, but it's mostly a difference in viewpoint or perspective. So if that helps you, especially for the context that it came out in, it perfectly fits this. If I can find it, it would be here. It is. Oh, so in the runes, it came out in between these two cards. These two runes. Animal Guide and Owl. Look at that. Imagine that. So, Fane is the rune that came out. The rune at the bottom of the deck is Ur. So there's this new freedom, this new flexibility that makes us, it's like there's something that's bound and it can't move. No matter what happens, it's like no matter how much force you apply to it, it doesn't move. It took a tremendous amount of force and work and journeying just to move this pentacle from here to here. So we get a little bit of light. So it's not all complete darkness, but still it's super easy to fall into it, right? All of that work, all of that effort just to get it to move that much. And so it's like no matter what would happen, this vein couldn't move. Or it's like when it moved in that direction, there would almost be like this elastic snap back because the tethers weren't broken. Because of this night to fire ether life, there's something that happens that gets that vein to turn, and all chains, what do you call bonds, tethers, it's all broken, it all snaps, and it becomes this untamable wild ox energy. It becomes less, what's like, it becomes less f withable. It becomes less mess withable. It becomes, the word is not coming to my mind, but it's a lot harder to get that when it turns in the direction of that wild ox. It's a lot harder to like get it back on the chain. It's a lot harder to get it back into captivity. It's a lot harder to get it back. I'm seeing that attachment card in the energy oracle cards. It's not doing that anymore because it's unbound. It's very like Vindhorn, but it's vain. I love that it's vain because again, like the weather vane, it turns in the direction of a current. This is where everything is heading. But it doesn't necessarily just happen. It does, though, seem like because we have the Six of Pentacles with this Fool, this is where it came out the most for Sagittarius the last time I did all signs, I think. Because for Sagittarius, it was like, oh my gosh, your energy is amazing, your energy is gorgeous, and you're helping people reach that same energetic state. You're also like, it's like Sagittarius had found a certain freedom and liberation, and Sagittarius is it's helping other people find freedom and liberation, even if it isn't a direct connection. Because this third cup, it's dropping from this portal of light in the sky. It's almost like now all of a sudden it's going to be a lot easier to think of or consider things that we wouldn't have thought of or considered when we were triggered in the same way previously. Or it's going to be a lot easier to see how the divine is already gifting us opportunities and leading us out of certain situations. But again, it's like when that moment happens, we get so narrowly focused that we don't even see it. This card is a lot more light than it is dark. But this is the bandwidth that we have, and all of that is basically darkness. And it's interesting because it's almost like a lot of times like a birthright energy comes up, or like an inheritance. It's like something that's just like freely given. But a birthright is different than an inheritance because a birthright is something that's born within. So it's always been there. It's like if you have a pot and you plant a seed in the pot and you put your birthright in the pot. The seed germinates and blooms and it starts to grow. And like it's almost like the birthright doesn't necessarily increase in size, but as the plant continues to grow, it's like it's easy to lose focus of the thing that's always been there the whole time. Like birthright is all of the light in this card that in certain instances we don't have the mental, emotional, spiritual capacity to sort of like also recognize. But it's always been there. And then I love that we have the all rune followed by ether life, because everything is in that at the same time. So remember how I was like, I don't know how much I too much appreciate the whole like we have to experience darkness to know light. That's literally this card. I learned to know at the bottom. It was at the bottom, but now I got more runes. The wild ox is at the bottom. We have to learn in order to know what that is inside of us. It's almost like you're given this thing at birth, and maybe it's one of those when the right time comes, you'll know what to do with it. And you're like, so is this the right time? Like, do I just like throw it at the problem and then the problem goes away? Do I plant it in the soil and then water it and it sprouts? Do I like what do I do with this? I still don't know. But yeah, with this, it feels like the focus is on this one really, but I mean all three are here. It creates this portal of light in the darkness. And I can't remember if it was Sagittarius again or if it was another sign. Somebody got a very similar energy. I've seen this energy somewhere here recently. I mean, it's not necessarily new. It comes out not all the time, but like it's one of the things that we do for each other because everything is connected. Because of the all in that fire ether life, when one, what's the star seed? When one star seed in the constellation blooms and becomes a star, it's like if you think of constellations as the connections between stars. As one star seed blooms and becomes a star, it pulses out, sends out that star energy along those connections. And it helps those other star seeds in that constellation also bloom into stars. And then when every star in the constellation blooms, that's when you get to see the entire picture as it is, right? So yeah, it's gorgeous. Egg rolls. Who got egg rolls? I'm hungry. But anyway, it's what we do for each other. Ooh, has it really been an hour and it's been an hour and 28 minutes? We got there eventually. Yeah, I'm like, oof, was not paying attention to the chat at all. Love it. So that's it. Um, yeah. What does that mean? I mean, it means what it means. I don't know why it said that. It means that things are about to get a lot brighter. Stuff like that, it's contagious. It spreads. But also, oh, the owl watcher. The owl, the one that sees in the dark, is the watcher, is the animal guide that's watching, right? And the Four of Wands that was at the bottom of the deck, I remember at some point, it came out and then it was at the bottom. That was the light that was in the back, waiting, like that was there to meet the two shadows as they were like getting their glow on or whatever. When your shadow glows bright enough, the beings of light, they will find you and they will say, you are ready now to experience and to know all of what light has to offer. Because at that point, there isn't anything within you that fights it. So there's nothing within you that causes this deep, innate rejection. That as soon as it gets too close, it repels you back. But it's not even necessarily repelling you back. It's just that the further it gets from its comfort zone, the stronger the attraction to the comfort zone becomes. That's one of the tethers that needs to be broken. Because otherwise, we're just going to keep running back. You know what I mean? And the comfort zone isn't always like great. You know what I mean? Just because it's the comfort zone doesn't mean it's comfortable. It's familiar. I like that word more. It's familiar. Because something familiar can be amazing. It can also be terrible. So we'll get one last and final rune. I think this is... Oh, it's 3 of them. Fine. Ooh, we got a title card. We got Rasa. Or Raise. I like saying Rasa. We got Rasa. It's funny because Russ mentioned this rune earlier today. This, for me, is the lunar eclipse rune. The other one is the solar eclipse rune. And then it is Resolve. Love that energy of resolution. It's resolution season. Because that's what I was like when I was talking about me personally. It feels like it's been a year of... Well, it's like the first part of the year was like taking the challenge, accepting the challenge, doing the thing, which is a major step in resolving the cycle so that it doesn't have to be repeated again. But there's also like, because there's like this mega cycle composed of big cycles. There's what's the word for like it's not conflagration. Maybe I do want to use the word conflagration because conflagration makes me think of fire, which makes me think of light. There's like this conflagration of, I want to say illumination. There's this conflagration of resolution. And that's like the star seed is like pulsing before it just explodes into fiery light. And then you get a whole like solar system or whatever. If you're one of those stars that wants a solar system, Leo. Or maybe you're just Aquarius and you're just like bright and you're out there. You know what I mean? Like you don't necessarily need a whole bunch of planets that depend and rely on you for like warmth and light and all kinds of other stuff. Or, maybe you get in a binary star system. I don't know nothing about stars. That's your life, your potential, your destiny. Why am I shuffling this? Myself, humankind. Bottom of the deck. Under that is the new bud. It's a new humankind. A more luminous humankind. And it's nothing that hasn't been there since the very beginning. Rasa. I explore and engage. I love engage. This is engaging in that. Because there's one thing to like learn something, to know something, but what do you do with that information? Knowing it is great, but if you don't use that information, you're limiting the amount of impact that it has to like benefit you. But when you engage with that process, that's when magic comes to full fruition. I'm also looking for a Goten. almost like Gilton. Giltenheim. It's the land where everything is resolved. Gilton is also half of an Oud. But I gotta find it. 1 second. Uno moment. Por favor. Uno momento, por favor. Okay, come on. Come on. The sad thing is, I didn't even look at the bottom of the deck yet, so I'm going to have to flip through all of these runes again. Oh, look, it's coming out of hell. Who's on the other side? Day Purged is on the other side. It's coming out of hell. After Ragnarok, hell returns the light. Who's at the bottom of the deck? It's Flussa. The bottom of the deck is Flussa, which is my favorite. You know what I realized? I realized that you is number 13. I did that whole. It was the thumbnail is the shape of Flussa. It was the Station 13 Sagittarius at Station 13, and the Ash came out. Ash came out with um, Bjork. And I was like, oh, usually like Ash comes out with the U tree because the Ash is dead on the inside, and U energy is about being revitalized from the inside. So like U is a natural medicine for Ash, but U isn't here. It's this other tree. But the 13th rune is U. So Ash was definitely at Station 13. And I was like, what? I didn't even piece it together. I don't think I saw this card. I most definitely did. All right, Felissa, where are you? Let's make this quick, please. I'm trying to be able to show these rooms to the camera. This is how you cheat. This system. This is how you get creative. Oh, here's Bjork. Stitching the beginning poplar tree. Gift, generosity, natal, stitch, Bjork. There it is. This is the one that came out. That's the tree that came out. And I was like, I don't know where that room just disappeared to. I'll find it later. I was like, oh, usually it's the other one. Come on, Flussa. Where you at? Where you at, Flussa? Flussa. It's also, no, Kanafa didn't come out. Never mind. I was going to say it's interesting because this is the feminine counterpart to Kanafa, but Kanafa didn't come out. This is in between Leche and Tear Smelt. This feels like cauterizing. Cauterizing the bleed. This is the rune at the bottom of the deck. Which again, like Flussa for me is that like something isn't right. Something is missing. Something is off. And then we have to go and find what that thing is. It's a rune of self-initiations. It invites us to do the thing, but it in no way forces us. Because if we go to Flussa and we're like, oh yeah, no, everything's fine. And then Flussa's like, okay. And I don't know why it came to my mind. Like as soon as Russ held up I can't remember. Yeah, he put them on flashcards then. As soon as he held it up in that first rune raking video, I was like, oh, like this looks like someone standing in front of a portal. And it feels like very like fox or coyote, a little trickstery, not because it's conniving or whatever in any way, but just because it doesn't give you the answer. It tries to set you on a path to find it yourself. The first card that came out is oh, it's the title. This one is the proper title card. I've seen the other title card. There are 2 title cards in this deck. At least 2. Like y'all know me with cards. I haven't sat down and looked through every single one. You know, I kind of they come as they come. The title card, engaging and resolving. I like this. If we think of darkness as the unknown, the only way it's almost like the only way to bring things from darkness to light is to engage with what we don't know. Because as long as we refuse to engage with it, we'll never know. It will always be dark. It will always be hidden. It will always be mysterious. Now, I ain't saying, use your discernment, intuition, and wisdom. Not everything is necessarily worth exploring, but that's also completely subjective. Just because it ain't worth exploring to me, don't mean it ain't worth exploring to you, and you might love it. That's why you use your intuition, guidance, and stuff like that, right? It will guide you in the way that you are to go. And that's not for me to do for you. But it's like engaging with that resolves the thing. And that's, again, it's almost like that's why knowledge or knowing only gets us so far. It's very full moon Gemini. I was gonna say it's very Sagittarius Gemini axis because Sagittarius is the learned scholar. It's very theoretical and hypothetical. It's very studied. Gemini is real world, real life, hands on experience. So Sagittarius can be like, oh, this is blah, 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 whatever, all day long. But without actually going into the field, without testing the theory in real life, it's like Gemini's like, no, I've been there, and that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. I don't know what books you've been reading or how outdated that knowledge is. Just say you don't know. Because if you were out here with me, you would know that you don't know. But sometimes when we're so in the experience, it becomes this energy. I mean, it's this energy either way. We're so in the book that we don't get real world, real life experience to see those, how it plays out in the real world. Or we're so in the real world that we don't like zoom out to get that higher perspective. Both are valuable. Temperance, like in equal, in the proper measure, both are valuable. But that's how we resolve things. And in that resolution comes this new beginning. We step through the portal that Flissa kind of offers, but doesn't. You know what I mean? Gorgeous. Love it. I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on these decks. Let me stop. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't use like tabletop today. I almost thought about it, but I was like, nah. This fool, the clown, the sacred clown, the Heyoka, the sacred clown has like integrated their birthright. Or the sacred clown can access the power of what that birthright like affords them. You know what I mean? Because not only is it this whole solar sun energy, but it's in the world also, it's whole. So anyway, I feel like I'll have to find that room. I don't want to forget. Ooh, what time is it? Ooh, it's late. Is it my bedtime? Is it my bedtime? Eve, stop. I didn't think that the zip was super audible, but Eve is on the case. She will let you know. It's interesting. Okay. That was the title card. The title card came out first. It was a title card, Rasa, and then I already forgot. Rasa and Goten, Jotunheim, the land where everything is resolved. Because you asked me earlier in the video, Eve, what this specific side of the title card means. You asked me, what does this mean? The runes say, explore, engage, find out. But again, like, it's Flursa energy. Flursa is gorgeous. Flursa is beautiful. But Flursa isn't just going to give you the answer. It'll try to point you in the right direction. And I think, again, that's another reason why expanding our perspective when in those two of expanding our perspectives in those two of pentacles situations, so we see more than just the worst case scenario. We see more than everything that didn't go right in the past. We see more than like the darkness, so that we also see light. I think that's important, or it's going to help us to be able to identify whatever Felissa is asking us to identify. So this is the Starman Tarot. Who was it? Judgment. Oh, Snoop. This is the Starman Tarot. And look at that. Ooh. Ooh. The other deck, I was using the raw rune. I was showing you the raw runes. But the soft launch of the Lafruma Healing Oracle deck is nearing, as Russell has already revealed. So I have received my copy. It's gorgeous. I'm still... So my receiving of the deck is coinciding with everything that I've already been talking about, in a way. Life lessons. So I'm gonna be, I'm sure, discovering what my access point to those Lafrumic magical energies will be. So far, if I can give you a little bit of a hint, a little bit of a preview, it would be this video, kind of, sort of, honestly. And to summarize it, it's Fane, it's Ur, and Ul. Fane, Ur, and Ul. To be unbound and to go in a new direction. And what must be sacrificed in order to do that? Ties, bonds, patterns, habits that must be broken. So far, so yeah. I was also using that deck, Steph, but I didn't show any of the cards. That is my needle hole or loophole. That's the loophole that I, because I have my raw runes. I can show you the raw runes. I didn't reveal any of the poetry. I didn't reveal any of the images. I mean, if you could see the complete picture, like, let me stop. Anyway, I don't want to be like, if you could see what I saw, then you would have like this completely different understanding. But you're not privy to that information. So sorry, I'm better than you. Not at all. And I know that I know it probably didn't come off that way, but that's why I was like, I don't want it to sound like that. And I included you to the best of my ability with the raw runes. And again, I didn't even read the poems. I went off of raw rune names and meanings. So I didn't give anything away. Just the fact that I received my deck. So, yeah. Oh, wait, I already have a card. Why am I shuffling? The Six of Swords is the card that came out. Oh, I wish I didn't shuffle it away. Remember when Judgment was at the bottom of the deck? This is a pre-Judgment energy. Six of Swords is minor Judgment. It makes sense. If you think about like Judgment Day and Six of Swords sailing to calmer waters, I see it. I'm probably not going to remember that for me, Six of Swords is minor Judgment, but Six of Swords is coming out as minor Judgment today. But like there's still this little infant child here. This is the birthright that's always been there. Again, in the Sacred Clown, we see that birthright matured. It's almost like this is why I won't call it the inner child here, because it feels like this is the inner child, like walking, getting its bearing. The inner child is going to mature, and then this birthright is gonna like also mature. That's also our Sacred Clown. So Sacred Clown was born with it. It's not Maybelline, but the good news is we're all born with it. So, no one's better than anybody. So the cat is still in the proverbial bag, yes. The very not at all Schrodinger's cat is still in the proverbial bag. The tower is at the bottom of the deck. It feels like the tower is what happens when because it's almost like it's still in the, what do you call the birth sack? It's still in the birth sack. But when the tower, like when the water breaks and then you push out the baby, boom, tower moment. The tower is the lightning bolt that emerges from the star. It's so easy when the gold side is on the back. It's the lightning bolt that emerges from the star in the darkness. It's there. There's your title card, Eve. Here's a 2-hour video just to tell you what that side of the title card means. So, with that being said, I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality, and whatever you need along your path, journey, or way, I hope you find it. And I also hope you the capacity, the bandwidth to receive the thing when you need it. Because it feels like it's there more often than not. But if it's there and we can't access it, then is it even there? You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, technically it's there. It's like, okay, but if you're telling me that this is something that I can't access until I turn 18, and I have to live 18 years of a full life, is it even there? You know what I mean? If a tree falls in the woods and no one is around to hear it, then does it make a sound? I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. Well, I was going to say, I'm sorry I wasn't like super attentive to the chat, but y'all know how it is. Y'all know how. That's why you have each other. I'm kidding. I did want to kind of read the book a little bit, but it's fine. I was going to put the cards away, but it's fine. I can do that off camera. I will see you all. Maybe I'll do that sun thing I talked about. Maybe I don't need to. I think this also solves the sun dilemma. About how when we were looking at, well, like, what does the light mean? When I did the illuminator spread, if you pulled cards along with me, then maybe the card that you got in that position would tell you that you have a pretty solid understanding, or you have a better understanding of what light actually is. But at first, it was like sun. I was like, oh my gosh, the sun came out in the spot for light. Oh my gosh, that's like so gorgeous. What? But then when I looked at what came out for dark, I was like, it feels like we have, or we learn to know so many layers and intricacies and ways to differentiate some shadows from other shadows or whatever. But when it comes to the light, it's just the sun. It didn't necessarily read like we had comprehension of what that is or like what it means, besides the fact that it's like, it's all love and light. It's love, it's light. What else do you need? I think in all of the like the resolution stuff like this, it was in like the Queen of Wands that becomes the Empress, backed by the sun. It was in that sacred clown that I went to go find because it came to me. I assembled the image in my mind in pieces, and I was like, "Wait, that's the sacred clown from the Starman Tarot." Um, and like I said earlier, if you watch it back, you'll see it. If you came in later, I was riding with my grandma, and it was cold, but it was super sunny, and the sun was super bright. And she was like, "Well, the sun is up there, but I can't feel the heat." And that made me think of the quote, "Fire without light is zeal without knowledge." But what is fire without warmth? Or like, what is light without warmth? You can see the light. It's like maybe again, that's like it's that knowing. That's the clarity that the sun brings after the moon. We can see the thing, but we also need to engage with it to feel that heat, because heat is an exchange. It's not something that you perceive through your eyeball. You know what I mean? Anyway, all right. Okay, there you go. I don't know what that was. I'm so sorry. I'll see y'all later. Bye.